Today, the local food hub on Meet the Farmer TV.
Meet the Farmer TV is made possible by Planet Earth Diversified, Melly Productions, and Leslie P. Jenkins Photography and Graphic Design. In the Kitchen Magazine, serving the community and everyone who loves good food. Culpeper's Channel 21, helping to preserve the agricultural history of Virginia, and Flavor Magazine, serving the Piedmont's local food and wine culture.
Today on Meet the Farmer TV, we're going to investigate a new nonprofit organization, the Local Food Hub, here in Ivy, Virginia. We'll talk to Kate Collier, one of the founders. We'll also visit a farm with Marissa Vroman. We'll find out what this organization is going to be for local agriculture here in Central Virginia, the 5-county area that they're going to serve. Arugula to zucchini at the White House.
Save the family farm.
In the kitchen.
In the end, the bill passed.
Be a model for local food production.
It's for locally grown food.
It's about market access.
Plants don't have personalities. I got one.
I call it the new American agriculture, and our whole agriculture education system is going to change.
We have a great solution to some of these crises that we're now facing.
And you're watching.
And you're watching.
And you're watching.
And you're watching
Meet the Farmer TV. Let's go inside and find out about the Local Food Hub.
Welcome to the Local Food Hub. Over here to your left is our offices. This is the nerve center of the Local Food Hub with Alan in there, tracking down local produce and talking to customers. And
this is the produce brain of the nerve center.
Here, our carrot top brain over here.
There we go.
Yeah.
All right, good.
Yes.
Well, now show us your cold storage.
Okay, this is our cold storage room. This is our cooler and packing room, and then adjoining that is our refrigerated room.
Well, here we are inside the big cool room at the Local Food Hub. We're here with Kate Collier, one of the founders. Tell us all about what this is, the Food Hub, what your intentions are, and what's going to happen in the local community.
Great. Well, the Local Food Hub is a nonprofit service organization. It's funded by local citizens and foundations in our area. It is here to help farmers with the services that they might need to access accounts that they hadn't been able to potentially get before because of quantity or distribution issues. We have a warehouse here that you're in. It's got 1,500 square feet of cool space and 1,500 square feet of ice cold space, about 36 degrees, where we can bring produce in, consolidate it, and it's a licensed warehouse with a $3 million liability policy, which should enable farmers and the product that comes through here to be able to get into any of our local institutions, including UVA, senior centers, and the county schools. We are helping farmers by marketing their product. We're also bringing lots of small farmers' products together to be able to offer the volume that these accounts need. So we have about 22 farms that are signed up now that we are buying product from. One of our main missions is to buy that product at a fair price, not to kind of whittle them down as the market cycles through its cycles, really try and create a constant and fair price that farmers might be able to depend on so that they can make business plans, so that they can see expansion ability and a great future in growing food for our community. Our funders, who are local institutions and about 40 citizens who have just written checks saying, I want more local food in my restaurants, in my grocery stores, and in my children's schools. They have said their main mission is to get this healthy food into the system. So what we do is we buy from local farmers. We call local the Thomas Jefferson Planning District. So that includes Charlottesville, Albemarle, Greene, Fluvanna, Louisa, and Nelson counties. And we keep that food in this system. So we're not buying the food and selling it to DC chefs or Maryland chefs. We're buying that food and selling it to people here. So we're just starting. We're a pilot project. You're here at the end of month 1, and we have seen many cycles. We've seen too much produce and too little produce, but what we're seeing as we are in week 4 is things are looking very bright. We're getting more and more customers. We just got Mountainside Senior Facility, which feeds 105 seniors 3 meals a day, and they have just picked up cucumbers and tomatoes and zucchini and berries that will be going on the menus. We've also had some great meetings with the University of Virginia Dining Services and Albemarle County Schools. And we've also picked up some independent grocery stores, Reed's, Earlysville Market, Feast, Great Value, and Crozet. So we see these independent businesses, food businesses, helping independent farmers, and together we're building a strong local economy here.
How did you get the idea to start this?
I think it came from, well, I grew up in the Virginia food community. My mother has a shortbread bakery in Fauquier County, and my father had a seasonally inspired restaurant there. So I grew up in the food business. I went to the University of Virginia, and of course wanted nothing to do with anything having to do with my parents.
Or restaurants.
Or restaurants, exactly. I wanted to be a lawyer. But after 3 years, I started realizing I was spending a lot of time at Foods of All Nations, and I was loving going to food shows and marketing Virginia products, and kind of realized that it was my calling. So I went out to San Francisco and worked for 2 large food distribution businesses. Both of them were family owned, but they were larger scale, about $5 million a year. And then came back to Virginia to start Feast, which I started with my husband about 8 years ago, which is a specialty food store that focuses on local. And after 8 years of talking to farmers at the back door and talking to food producers, I kind of heard a common theme, which was, we need help with distribution. Me getting in my car and driving to 40 different accounts and doing all of the accounting and doing all of the marketing as well as doing all the growing is wearing me down. And I started to see that a lot of these farmers were also over the age of 50, and they were really looking to see an exit strategy. And I was seeing that there weren't very many young people getting into this, and being relatively young myself and employing a lot of young people that were really passionate about it, I thought, if young people are going to get into this has to be a viable business. And so the idea for bringing together an organization that could help these farmers get together came as a New Year's resolution, really, in 2008. I just kind of wrote down a 1-page synopsis of what I thought the food system needed. I went and presented it at Harvest Now presentation, which Jefferson Area Board of Aging was sponsoring, and around that table were about 30 different institutions and food producers. And after I made this presentation, which I thought was just, here's an idea, let's work on it, I got great feedback, and a lot of these organizations came to me and said, let's keep going with this, let's keep going with this, and they kind of pushed us to get this going. At first I thought this is a great idea that someone else should do, but it started to be it was immediately clear to everyone else, and it became clear to me that kind of my background in distribution and marketing of local food was important. And so in December of last year, of 2008, we got a grant, a $10,000 grant from Nelson County Economic Development that said, we'll be first, we'll be brave, we'll be the first group to sponsor this organization because we think it really will support Nelson County farmers. And after that, it was kind of, there's no going back. There's $10,000 in the bank, there's no going back. And then we were able to raise the money. We've raised about $300,000 for this, to get this going and to keep this going. We're constantly fundraising, of course. But we saw that the community really puts their money where their mouth is, where this is concerned. And so that's how it started. And then we were able to locate 4 staff that are young and energetic and passionate about this cause and are constantly thinking. We get emails from each other at 11:30 at night with new ideas, and so there's a great energy behind this, and we're really hopeful at this point.
What is the real difference with the local food hub and just another produce supplier?
Our mission and our services. Our mission is to buy from local farmers at a fair price. A lot of other produce distributors are driven by local to them means many different things. It might mean Virginia. It might mean within 100 miles of here. So we are very 1,000 exactly. Local is, you're starting to see tomatoes with signs on them that say local, but there's no location on it. So, our mission is buying from farmers in our area. We also provide a lot of other services. We go and visit these farms. We tell their story. We run a marketing campaign for the farm. We're not just building a local food hub brand, which we are building because we believe it gives strength to local food, but we're trying to help farmers build their brand as well. We're also doing a lot of networking. When we go and meet these farmers and see their farms, we find out what are their concerns, what are their talents, where are they willing to help, and we connect them with other farmers. So these established farmers that have been doing a great job for years, we can connect them with these young people that are trying to get started. We also donate a lot of food to, one of our main missions is to get this food to the underserved. So we donate a good amount of food to the Salvation Army, to the Thomas Jefferson Area Food Bank. We're also going direct to the Boys and Girls Club through the PB&J Fund. And we're working with West Haven and Southside to get food kind of more directly to people. So where our mission is to provide, we're kind of three-pronged. The distribution support and infrastructure is one part. The networking is another part. In the networking, we're also trying to work with extension agents to have them respond quickly to farmers' requests. We're also working with Virginia Tech to get the information from them. For example, a farmer is ending up with tomatoes with a yellow top on them. And why is this happening? So we can go to Virginia Tech and ask them and respond to the farmer. And then the other aspect is charitable donations of food. And really, we are working to get it into these grocery stores that aren't necessarily, or haven't really had much fresh product in the past. And what we're doing to help those grocery stores as well is give them shelf talkers that talk about the farms, give their staff education on the nutritional benefits of locally grown food and food that's ripened on the vine and on the tree. So we provide a lot of services that a for-profit driven business wouldn't be able to provide for the low margin that produce has in it. What we're hoping to work with our partner farmers on also is a planning for next year. What we look forward to in the off season, January, February, March, when we might not have much local produce, is to look back at what sold, to look back at the back orders, to be able to work with institutions like UVA and county schools to find out what is their need, and then be able to talk to farmers before they buy their seeds as to where is the need and can we write contracts with them to grow things for us so our customers can more depend on it and farmers can more depend on it. For example, potatoes there's a big demand for potatoes, I think because they keep and because everybody likes potatoes, from kids to the elderly. So both UVA and the county schools have told us we want potatoes. We'll commit to hundreds of pounds of potatoes a week. Apples is another thing. Things that keep the local food hub. Everybody would like to put a lot of things on the local food hub, but we would really, our dream is that this spawns a lot of for-profit businesses. We realize that our business plan for the local food hub has us being sustainable in about 8 years, but that depends on the volume of produce that goes through here. But we realize that starting up for-profit businesses is really the best way to build this local economy. And so, we're not stuck on it. We're very kind of organic, open-minded organization that, people that are interested or want to be involved, we would like them, we like their ideas. We talked last week to a group in Madison that was talking about trying to get a processing facility going. So our dream would be, let's work with them and let's get the food in here from the farmers, and then we can send that food on one truck up to them to process. So, we're trying to work with other people on that. We love this location. It's been beautifully fixed up for us. It's very clean. You can kind of see this room is huge. We have a huge expansion ability here. It's convenient to everybody that works here. It's relatively convenient to the farmers. It's convenient to town. our neighborhood, you know, Murray Elementary really wants to get involved with this project. So we like being part of this neighborhood as well. So we love this location. We see being here. I mean, really, I came to see this location about a year ago, and it looked very similar to the location of a cheese distribution warehouse that I had opened before. And I walked in and I said, we could get this thing going in a month and a half. You know, with this, you flip on this refrigeration and we could go. And so it was kind of the inspiration for the reality of this project happening. If we had had to build something or start from scratch, I don't think it would have happened. What we're hearing from a lot of farmers is there's a lot of meat farmers here, and they're running cow-calf operations, and there's lots of potential with UVA and with schools to get local grass-fed meat into the system.
Now, does that change your distribution? Can you, in the same truck, deliver meat?
If it's processed, labeled, and frozen, we can run meat. We can't bring fresh in here and cut it or anything,
Right.
but if it comes in here, if we, you know, for example, we're trying to negotiate with UVA to have like Thursday be local burger day at the dining halls, which means that what we would find out is how exactly, do you want a 3-ounce patty? Do you want it chopped and frozen? How do you want this packaged? And then we can work with a processor on that.
So
Well,
tell us about what you had to do to get, I mean, I saw Alan Ollinger came out and inspected your wholesale warehouse. What is involved? Did you have to do, you know, like what all the farmers have to have a GAPS and HACCP for all of their any kind of processing, and GAPS even just for field product, and so did you have to do some of that, and are you providing some of that assistance to the farmers too?
As I told you, we went to Virginia Tech and we talked to their GAP specialist, and we talked to Joelle Eifert, who handles the processing. And what they told us was GAP is voluntary at this point. We went to actually find out how do we get certified to be GAP inspectors, because one of the problems with signing up with being a GAP producer is that you have to pay for an inspection every year, and that's an expensive fee. So they essentially told us the book on GAP is about this big, and it's not required now, and the regulations on field crops are relatively slim. You know, there's not been many outbreaks on small farm production. They educated us on where to look for the water source. And Marissa, our farmer services person, is taking classes and learning more about safe water, and that's something we hope to provide. But really, the regulation on field crops is relatively small at this point, as lots of people believe it should be, because if you know, most of our farmers are extremely thoughtful, educated people, and they are doing this because they love it and because they want to do an exceptional job. And so we're not talking about huge industrial farms where you know, nobody really has much buy-in in this. We're talking about people that own their own businesses, that want a future. So we believe that the people we're working with are doing a great job and doing as much safety as they know how and are learning to do. In our meeting with Brian Kelly, who's one of the main purchasers at UVA, he told me yesterday they've hired Kendall Singleton to be their sustainability consultant, or really I guess she's on staff, which made me excited because I have seen Kendall work for the last year, and she worked on Water Penny Farm in Rappahannock, and she has a great background knowledge of small farms. And what it seems to me is it takes education. So he asked about GAP, but he didn't really know what GAP was. And so I think it's going to take knowledgeable people going and sitting down with these people and giving them I think if we could bring you and Virginia Tech and Kendall and educate them really, that will assuage some of their fears. I mean, I think a lot of this, it's also going to other people at UVA beyond Aramark. I mean, I think one thing we're trying to do is educate the Board of Visitors on this, educate the headmaster, educate some of the staff, there's a lot of extremely educated staff there. I mean, we don't need to do a lot of educating on them, but get them together and have it coming from a school-wide, we want to support our economic development in our community. We want to support nutrition. We want to support our students knowing about seasonality. Let's hook this in with the engineering school and efficiencies of distribution. Let's hook this in with biology and with the biology department. And I think that will create more of a push, and then I think positive reinforcement. I mean, I think when UVA makes a small commitment, we thank them, and we get it out that they're trying, and I think it's going to take little steps, and we're working towards that, and we're also working towards this networking of the smart people that we're meeting that might be able to speak to these points. And I think, UVA, a small bit of their business can make a huge difference for our economic development here. But there's also a lot of other people, Albemarle County Schools, they're really interested. Their nutrition person, Christina Pitzenberger, is really interested. She's going to jump through every hoop she can to get more local food into the schools. She's talking about doing every month there be a vegetable of the month, and what we'll be able to do is give that, collect it from the farmers that have that, be able to plan the year, collect that product from the farmers, distribute it to the schools, also be able to give them some educational, visual educational thing. The fruit of the month is peaches, and a little story about peaches. Really,
So there's a really big educational and community component, and that's one of the things the local food hub brings that's different than just another produce supplier.
Yes, you couldn't have said it better myself.
All right. We're going to take a little trip out to my farm with Marissa and go through, actually looking at different crops and seeing some of the things there. So here we are with Marissa Vroman of the Food Hub of Charlottesville.
The local food hub, yeah.
The local food hub,
Yep.
localfoodhub.org, right?
Yep, that's right.
So we've called you in because we've got all of this produce,
Yep.
much more than we can sell at the markets. The chefs are getting really tired of hot peppers, but I know there are people that need them.
Right.
And so how do we work this out? Let's walk through and take a look at what we've got.
Absolutely. Well, why don't you show me what you have, and then I'll tell you a little bit more about what we do at the Food Hub.
Okay. Well, we've got, it's sort of a rotation of summer squash, so we can always have little baby summer squash and squash flowers. Now, we've been growing these pepper plants since February in the greenhouse. We moved them out, and they're starting to produce, and the heirloom tomatoes are producing faster than we can keep the strings up. They're starting to fall down. And we've pulled several thousand pounds out of the field this morning, some of which you saw at one of the markets.
Yes, I stopped
But
by
let's
the
just
other
kind of
day.
walk through, and we'll see what's going on. And tell me more just how this food hub thing works. I mean,
Okay.
most of the times when I take product to an auction or a market, I'm hoping I can pay for the boxes,
Right.
much less get a fair price
Right.
for my product.
Well, that's one of the gaps we saw in the system, and what we are committed to doing is finding all kinds of avenues of markets for different size farmers, big farmers, little farmers, and everywhere in between, and making sure that they get a fair price for their hard work, because it's hard work raising especially ecologically sustainable produce. So what do you do with your corn and the corn worms?
We'll use a BT with that, and the spinosad we talked about works pretty well. And just a horticultural oil, which is a highly refined soybean oil.
Okay.
It's refined really, it's clear, like a stylet oil.
Okay.
And that just kind of smothers them,
Yeah.
and that prevents it, but it has to be individually applied
to each
corn
right.
silk.
Right.
Yeah. So
How
this is,
long does it take you to pick an hour of beans?
We had-
How many man hours?
We had 2 guys picking these rows yesterday. They picked for about 2.5 hours, about 5 man hours, and we got 5 cases of beans. So that's a man hour per box of beans.
Per box, right.
So 1 box of beans
So
has
thus-
already got $10.
Thus, a box of beans is not $5.
No, it's already got $10 of labor putting
Right.
it in the box.
Not to
And-
mention the
and-
cost of the box.
Or of growing them,
Right.
the time that it
Right,
takes.
to
So
plant.
these rows over here that are tilled, as soon as they finish digging the potatoes and the peppers, we're trying to get the seeds in those before it gets dark.
So basically, in our packet, my card and Alan's card, he does the purchasing and sales, and I
Okay.
do farmer services and outreach and development, fundraising. So we have our mission and services here. So as a partner producer, basically a real quick list of what you have access to.
Okay.
And then you don't need this because I think you're probably well aware, but this is a local food resources. It's really for new farmers of different local and national organizations working on food system issues. And that's also on our webpage where you can click directly to the links of those organizations. We have that. We have our logo, and everything that comes out of our warehouse has our logo on it, the farm it came from, and the product name, whatever the product is, and usually the weight of the box. And we're working with retail outlets so that we can get them signage that actually looks different and a lot better and more appealing. And we have pictures of every farm. If you've been to our website, we have pictures of every farm that we work with and a little story about, one of my best parts of my job is going and meeting everybody and kind of seeing what they're about and capturing that in a little paragraph that tells their story. So yeah, that's going to go in with, into all of our retail outlets as soon as we've finished. We're working on the templates now. So yeah, soon.
Good.
But it will have.
So we can maybe we can get Meet the Farmer TV to come and do some videos of these farms, so people can not just see a sign, but see some real live video.
Absolutely. That's really important. I think if people were able to meet each and every of these farmers, it would make a big difference.
Yeah, and you guys have done some volunteer things too, where people come out and work on the farm.
Yep, we have a little educational farm that we're testing certain things just to help give our growers some feedback on products that we think have a better opportunity in the market. And so we organize volunteer days. We have every third Saturday is the orientation, so we have a little catch up, like this is what we've done so far, this is the methods that we've been using, and these are the methods that we want to use in the future, and then we kind of work on the farm, and then once you go through that orientation, you can come out at your leisure and work whenever you need to take a break.
Well, that's good, so people can really get some hands-on.
Hands-on, absolutely. And I mean, it taught Kate and I a ton when we went out and we planted, all the beans, and we planted the melons, and we planted everything, and we thought, you know what? A summer squash is worth more than 22 cents a pound. Okay? Let's get some fair prices for the farmers.
Well, there you have it. A local food hub here in Central Virginia, a nonprofit organization designed to help you, the consumer, and you, the farmers, get together with a local food system right here on Meet the Farmer TV. I'm Michael Clark, your host for Meet the Farmer TV. Thank you for joining us for another week at Meet the Farmer TV. And remember, anytime you can see any of the shows at watch.meetthefarmer.tv. Thanks for joining us for another Meet the Farmer TV. And please let each of our underwriters know you appreciate their support bringing you Meet the Farmer TV. Check out their websites and tell them personally you appreciate their support underwriting Meet the Farmer TV.
Meet the Farmer TV is made possible by Planet Earth Diversified, Melly Productions, and Leslie P. Jenkins Photography and Graphic Design.
In the Kitchen Magazine, serving the community and everyone who loves good food.
Culpeper's Channel 21, helping to preserve the agricultural history of Virginia, and Flavor Magazine, serving the Piedmont's local food and wine culture.